really don't have much update on the sewer plant regionalization steering committee and the village application for their speedies permit with DEC should the village decide to keep their own sewer plant. Now, Patty, Deputy Supervisor Cataldi, might have a different impression of that. You might have an update on that, but I
don't. I know that you and I need to get together to put some things together to submit to the, as plans for the working committee.
Yes.
We were, each side was supposed to come forth with their concerns, so when the working committee was formed, they would have some guidance as to what they should be looking at. So you and I need to get together and do that.
Does anybody want to guess, without me using the word mea culpa again, if you were betting people in this room, do you think it's Patty that is the delay on getting together, or do you think it's me? It's not Patty.
It doesn't matter, but you actually weren't able to attend the last meeting, so that's why 45 action items were put on your plate.
No, to the victor goes the spoils. In all seriousness, we know that the village board voted on 2 resolutions at their September 10th village board meeting. One was to enter into a steering committee with the town on really vetting how this regional sewer plant and or collection system or whatever would look like, so that the committee could eventually report to the 2 boards on their findings. The other thing they voted on was if they do keep their own sewer plant, they were going to apply to the Department of Environmental Conservation, thank you, John, the DEC, for their own speedies permit, which in layman terms, Barry, you actually being a sewer, or having run it, it's the permit to
discharge into Lake Ontario.
Exactly. Which right now, the town's sewer plant has the speedies permit, and the village sewer plant basically is an industrial user on our permit. Translation, if anything went wrong right now at the sewer plant on their discharge, the town is on the nut for what I've heard, $30,000 a day penalties.
$37,500.
Thank you, Mr. Herbst, which is $1 million a month now. We are in an agreement. It's called, what is it, an IMA, an intermunicipal agreement going back years with the village, that the village would indemnify us for those costs. But yeah, anyway, thank goodness heretofore nothing has happened that has caused any such penalty. But we've made it very clear, for going forward, if there's going to be 2 sewer plants, the town really cannot be responsible for the village's sewer plant discharge. It's a moot point if the steering committee ultimately comes up with a presentation to the 2 boards. Everybody's like, we need to go regional. It's a moot point then. We only have 1 speedies permit. Hopefully, maybe by the next workshop, we will be able to give a more thorough update of where we're at in the process.
The village's engineer is working on formulating the paperwork on Speedy's permit documentation.
John, you know things. I don't know how you find out your information, but are you a reporter?
Now, I knew we were going to talk about this tonight, so I just called a friend of mine.
Patty?
Called a friend.
The only thing that I want to clarify is one of the things that did come out of our last meeting is that this group that will be working on it is going to be known as a working committee.
Yes.
Because a steering committee indicates that they'll actually be giving recommendations and have an influence on the outcome. And that certainly is not the wish from either the village or the town board. So they shall heretofore be known as the working committee.
And actually, the framework of it is pretty much agreed on, that it's going to be 4 town representatives and 4 village representatives. And Patty,
Correct.
it's kind of like Noah's Ark. There'll be one
per each.
one resident.
1 resident from each, 1 board representative from each, 1 resident, you said
Business owner.
Business owner, and,
Sewer.
Oh, yeah.
and one person from each sewer department. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well,
You have been talking to somebody.
Yeah. So, actually, does anybody have any questions about that update that wasn't as?
I have a question regarding that. Has a date been established yet to when a decision needs to be made so this doesn't, this working committee, it doesn't get prolonged? I mean, we've been working diligently to come up with or in the village has been working diligently also, to come up with a decision. We've come this far, and I know that I believe discussions were taking place to establish some deadline as to the steering committee.
Working committee.
Working committee, sorry about that.
Yes.
My question is, has that date been established yet?
There has been a date that has been outlined,
Okay.
that they should convene with a set amount of time before they were to come forth with the results of their study.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
I don't want to say what that date is at this point because it's still somewhat of a vague thing until we actually convene that committee.
Okay.
And those who've been asked don't know the outline, don't know the parameters of that either, so.
Have the
But
numbers been established yet?
Pretty much, yes.
That's great.
They have been asked, but these are talented people.
Right.
And they really want to know what they're tasked with.
Thank
And
you.
that's what we're fleshing out right
Yeah.
now.
Fantastic.
You know, they could have said no immediately, I have no interest in it, but they couldn't really say yes the day that they were asked.
Right.
Because they're too intelligent and too talented people to answer yes to something that we haven't given them the framework of the who, what, why, when, and where.